Hello guys, welcome to Boss Niger. If the first time on our channel, please subscribe so that you will not miss more comment updates. In this video, we want to give you the complete life story of a Nigerian Islamic scholar, Alhaji Bello Muyideen. Alhaji was born in 1940 in Ibadan, Oyo State. Alhaji Bello was widely respected for her profound teaching and unwavering dedication to Islamic scholarship. Here we go about his life story. As a little child, popular Islamic preacher Sheikh Muyideen Ajani Bello had his first experience as a public speaker at the age of 10. The son of Islamic scholar young Muyideen grew up living with his parents and learning the Quran from the day he was able to tell his right from his left. More than 6 decades after that eye-opening experience, the popular Islamic preacher has grown to become one of the nation's prominent scholars. His quest for knowledge increased at the age of 9 when he requested to live with his uncle, who at the time ran an Islamic school in Ibadan. According to him, he said, "My father was an Islamic cleric, though he was from Ibadan, but he lives in Agberire in an Iwo farm settlement. One day, my younger brother, who was also an Islamic cleric, came from Ibadan to meet us at Iwo. He spoke at a public lecture that was organized in the town. I remember when I was 9 years old at the time, when it was time for him to go back to Ibadan, I told my father that I would love to live with his younger brother in Ibadan, and he obliged me my request. At Ibadan, the young Muyideen attended regular school in the morning and returned to study Quran after school. And within a short period, he became the favorite of other young pupils and the teachers who viewed him as the master child. According to him, he said at Ibadan, I joined my uncle Quranic school once I came back from school. He also had many young men who went with him whenever he had to deliver a public lecture. The young men and all the other school viewed me as the master's son and treated me as such, he said with a tinge of satisfaction in his voice. With plenty of time dedicated to learn the Quran, the young soon mastered the content of Holy Book and become every adept at delivering sermons using the Quran. And when he turned 10, an age most of his mates were still grappling with understanding the minor story in the Quran, he was carried on his uncle's shoulder to deliver a public lecture. He said, when I arrived in Ibadan, my uncle enrolled me in school. While I spent my day in school, the rest of the day was spent studying the Quran. My father was the first Islamic cleric in my family, and his younger brother was the second man. This really got me interested in studying Quran. Exactly 1 year after I got to Ibadan, which meant I was 10 years old at the time, my uncle took me to a public lecture. He carried me on his shoulder, and I was the one that delivered the lecture. Surprisingly, the crown that turned out was huge. On that particular day, people gave me money that was carried in a bag, and from them on, whenever I was taken out by my uncle to speak, the crown was always huge because the people wanted to see and know who the little boy was, he said. Ironically, while the Sheikh is globally known today as a cleric and prominent Islamic preacher, but as a young man, what was uppermost in his mind was to become an electrical electronic engineer. And unlike most Islamic clerics of the period, young Muhyiddin was not averse to acquiring formal education. After his secondary education, he went on to acquire a National Certificate of Education (NCE) certificate. Asked why he was interested in getting educated, while at the same time growing stronger in religion matter, Sheikh Muyideen smiled with a look what meant to say. He said, "You think I didn't go to school?" And said, "I came from family of very educated people in Ibadan. Even my father had a standard 6 certificate, and he always insisted that his children must go to school. But my immediate elder brother went to study electronic engineering, and whenever he settled down to work, I was always entranced by how he joined those wires, so I interested in the job. Even at the time, I knew I would one day become an Islamic cleric, but I also wanted to make sure that I have a job that will put food on my table. So I decided to work with my elder brother. Staying with him allowed me the opportunity to learn a lot about electronic and electrical jobs, he said. On why some Islamic clerics are seemingly uninterested in formal education, the Sheikh said it is not that Islamic doesn't like formal education. The story is that in those days, our father feared that the lifestyle of educated people is not in consonance with what our religion requires. They fear that it will damage wherever they have been taught by Islam. But we have realized that it's very important that our children are educated. It is important that Islamic clerics are educated and informed about their surroundings so that they can rub shoulder with their peers whenever any matter or issue is being discussed, he said. While he continued to grow deeper in Islam religion matter and indeed craved the idea of becoming a cleric, his first job as an adult was as a teacher in a college. He indeed among the pioneer teacher of Ansarudin College, Saki, Oyo State. The young teacher was enjoying his job until he was told a story about how ghost comes to the night market in the town. He said, I was enjoying the teaching job until some people in the town told me that ghosts normally came to the night market in the town. I couldn't stand it. So I went back to Ibadan to report that I could not cope with living in the town. His request was granted and he was redeployed to Abeokuta Grammar School, where he taught Islamic study and biology. But his stay in Abeokuta was also short-lived as he became very uncomfortable with the daily sighting of corpses dumped under the popular Lafenwa Bridge on his way to school. For him, the experience was a sign that it was time he heard a call to take up cleric job full time. At the time, his elder brother had relocated to Kano. Interestingly, at the time, the Sheikh best clothes were a fitted shirt and suit, which is called coat, with a bright color to go with. According to him, at that time, I was so much in love with fitted coats. I would wear my shirt with tie and trouser. My belief at the time was that it didn't take anything away from my ability to take matter of Islamic religion seriously. But all that was changed when he relocated to Kano after quitting his teaching job in Abeokuta. He said, after I quit the teaching job, I went to meet my elder brother in Kano. He worked with the government and also had his workshop. But whenever he went to the mosque to pray and read the Quran, I would join. The people will look at me with surprise because they didn't know that I understand the Quran that much. One day, they approached me and asked why I was wearing shirt and trousers despite my understanding of Quran. Even at the time, my hair was always long because I would comb it that way. They told me that I was behaving like an unbeliever by dressing that way. And truly, whenever I see my old photograph, I simply laugh at the way I look. One of the leaders in the mosque, who was also a family member of the late head of state, General Murtala Muhammad, later invited me to his office. He wanted to know why I was wearing shirts and trousers. He also asked me to try return to teaching. Why he agreed to go back to teaching, he soon encountered a problem with teaching the children because the children didn't speak English, while he's on the other hand didn't speak Hausa. He said, I agreed to go back to teaching, but there was a snag because I didn't understand Hausa. The man advised me to stay with the people. He said I would learn the language that way. Asked to explain the reason behind organizing public lecture, he said, it is the teaching of God words, and only those chosen by him can do it successfully. It involves reading the Quran and to explain what it contains, the way God wants us to understand it and to make use of it. He, however, insisted that he is particularly obsessed with the truth. He said, from my childhood, One thing I had been always particular with is saying the truth, no matter how whose ox is gunned. As a child, I was noted for one thing, and it was that I would say the truth if anything happens. So whenever anything happened in the house, it was from that they will seek to know what happened from me. It is with that understanding that I came to believe that truth is God's words, and that it is with utmost truth that we speak those words every day. That is the way I approach my sermon whenever I speak to people. What made the Sheikh happy the most? He didn't think twice before he shoot back, speaking to the people about Quran. According to him, giving public lecture is like a dose of medicine against any form of sickness. I am happiest when I speak to the people about the word of God. Believe me, even if I was sick, I was able and I was asked to come and speak at a public lecture. The sickness will immediately fly away and I will become strong, he said, smiling. Speaking about the most memorable public lecture he has ever had, he held his hand to his head as if he's trying to recall a particular incident. On that, he said, on that day, I delivered a lecture at the function in Lagos, but I also had another lecture billed for Ibadan the same day. But on my way to Ibadan, our car was involved in a ghastly accident. The car fell off a bridge, leaving all of us with varying degree of injury. We are all rushed to the hospital. But a huge crowd has gathered, waiting for us. Soon after I was attended to by the doctor, I insist that we should go to the event. Interestingly, that event turned out to be one of the best that we have ever had. And although the lecture, I was on my feet, the other day has remained memorable with me until now. From his childhood to now, the Sheikh said only one thing has changed. According to him, aside from his transformation from the young man that was always suit up with tie and to an older man that wear nothing but sparkling white agbada, everything else about him has remained the same. Nothing has really changed about me except for the way I dress in those days. You know, like an educated young man, always dressed suit up with an ear glowing. Every other thing is the same, he said with sense of fulfillment. But one other thing that has changed in his menu is younger day. The same favorite meal was akara and eko, baked cake and cornmeal. But with age, his favorite daily meal is never complete without a cup of tea. He said, I love to eat akara and eko when I was a young man, but today I love to enjoy my cup of tea. I drink tea every day. Though he is from Ibadan, a cited noted for his love for amala, Sheikh Muyideen confessed he hardly eat the delicacy, saying the most he eats is once in a month. He said, I hardly eat amala. Sometimes I eat it maybe once in 1 month. I don't really like that much. Thank you for hearing the life story of Sheikh Muyideen Ajani Bello. At the time of his death, he died at the age of 84 years old. The cause of his death is not known at the time of this video. Thank you for watching this video and thank you for staying with us. Please subscribe so that you will not miss more coming updates from Boss Niger. Share, like and follow us. Thank you. See you in our next video.